Welcome to a little bit of Calm and Crazy. Today I'm excited because I have 3 outdoor Dollar Tree DIYs to share with you, and I absolutely love them and I think you will love them too. If you are new, my name is Jennifer and I love sharing easy DIYs and budget decor. If that sounds good to you, I hope that you will hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. Now today's video is in collaboration with some of my favorite DIYers here on YouTube, and I will have a link to the playlist below so that you can go and check out their outdoor inspiration as well. If you are coming over from any of their channels, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy what you see today, and let's go ahead and jump right on into today's projects. For this project, I'm using those Lucid cutting boards from Dollar Tree, but don't feel like you need those. You could absolutely use some wood that you pick up at your local hardware store or some scrap wood maybe that you have lying around your house. I also have some white rope that I got on Amazon. Dollar Tree is now carrying some white rope, but I haven't been able to find it yet, but I was able to get this for just a little bit less than what you can even get per foot from the Dollar Tree, and I will link that down below for you as well. So I'm using my Dollar Tree L ruler in order to mark exactly where I want to put my holes. I'm putting 2 holes on each side. Now, this L ruler is one of my favorite things that I've ever purchased from Dollar Tree as far as like tools go. I honestly think in my little crafting kit, it is a must-have, and if you don't have it, I would highly suggest that you pick it up the next time you're able to get into a Dollar Tree. So I'm marking 5/8 of an inch all the way around. After that, I use my drill in order to drill out the holes on the first board, and then I use the first board as a guide for the remaining boards. And my 14-year-old son was super sweet to help me out with that so that I was able to even work on some other things. Once I had all my holes drilled, I did go in with some sandpaper if there were any like rough spots. I'm very gentle with a very fine grit sandpaper because I did not want to mess with that finishing coat on these cutting boards. To hang my shelf, I am using one of these book rings that I also picked up at Dollar Tree. You could also use like a key ring, and I know from Amazon you can order some like wooden rings. Just something round that you can hang on your hook. So I wanted to do some really basic macrame on this. So I have 2 pieces of rope that I've cut to 54 inches. So a little bit longer because the knot tying is going to shorten up my rope before I can get my shelves to the level and heights that I want them. So to start off with, you're going to do what's called a lark's head knot. So here you see that I have folded my rope in half and I've taped it off so it won't come undone. I have the loop. In the front, I take my 2 ends behind the ring and then I take them through that loop and I pull, and that is how you get that lark's head knot. All this, the purpose of this is just to get it attached to wherever you're hanging. So whether it's on a ring or on a rod or on a stick, that is how you always begin anything with macrame. So now I'm simply going to do just 2 square knots. So I'm starting from the left side. So you see I did a figure 4. I take the opposite side in front, then take it behind, go up. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And then you go to the opposite side. So I'm gonna do like a reverse or a backwards 4. That opposite side on the left goes in front of that loop, behind the 2 middle strands, and then through that little 4, and then pulls up. And then I'm gonna do it one more time. Got to get my knot in place. I'm going to go again with my regular shape 4. The right side goes in front of the loop, behind the 2 middle, and then in front. And then you repeat that opposite backwards 4. So you take the right side around the 2 front, the left side in front of that and behind the 2 middle, and then loop it through and pull it up. It's that simple. And that is all I'm doing as far as the macrame goes. I personally find it best to go ahead and hang your shelf while it is hanging. That way you can make sure that all the ropes come out equal. By measuring, it doesn't quite work as well as it is by making sure it's level while it hangs. I hope that makes sense. So I went ahead and I threaded the ropes through. I tied a knot in one corner. I used a leveler to make sure that I stayed nice and level. I loosely tied knots as I thought it was level, and then adjust it accordingly if something wasn't level. If you have a second pair of hands from a little helper, sometimes that can help as well. Once I had that top shelf nice and level, I went ahead and I did the same thing for the second shelf. Once I had the distance that I wanted, my shelf was about, I think, 5 inches from that top shelf. Once I had that bottom shelf leveled, I went ahead and I cut off any extra that I had. I went ahead and I left a little extra rope because I wanted to fringe it, but of course that's just a personal preference if you want fringed rope on the end or not. Now, I did not give myself a lot of slack in my rope or a lot of extra rope. If you want it even longer, then you're going to want to cut your rope longer in the beginning. I personally love the way that this turned out. I'm going for a very relaxing feel on my porch, and I think that this really contributes to that. Now, what do you think of my very first macrame project? I would love to know that in the comments below. For this project, I am using some of these rub-ons from Dollar Tree, as well as the smaller clay pots that you get in a pack of 3. To start off with, I'm taking some Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm giving each of the pots a really good coat in the paint. Now, I only did 1 coat, and I was completely fine with that. Some parts of the pot might have been a little bit more sheer, and that was just fine, but it's a really thick paint, and it really does do a great job at giving it a really good coating. As you can see, I have picked out 3 different rub-ons in order to put on my pots. Now, we are absolutely going to see some happy accidents happening here, and just stay with me. So to put these on, you just peel them off of their backing and you just rub them on. I start off by just using a regular little scraper. You can also, of course, use a popsicle stick. In the end, I find that my fingernail might just be the best tool. So experiment with it. I was a little bit impatient and probably should have let my pots dry a little bit more. They felt dry to the touch, but apparently they were not completely dry. So as a result of that, I pulled off some paint and then realized that I should just go with a distressed look. And let me tell you, I'm not mad about it because I think that they actually turned out even better. So this was the first one, pulled it off, got a distressed look. Second one, really got a distressed look and pulled off another rub-on to add to it. I thought that was a good, nice layered look. And then on number 3, guess what? No distressing, it went on perfectly. That's because I probably used my fingernail. I don't know if it was the paint wasn't dry or my fingernail was just a better tool on this one, but I went ahead and distressed it anyway because the other 2 were distressed, and honestly, I liked the distressed look best. But if you don't, by all means, don't distress it. Try it with your fingernail. Worst case, it can actually sand off and you can repaint. It's not a big deal. I think that these turned out beautiful. Of course, you could put like a little faux plant in it, maybe even a real plant in it if you want to, because I only painted the outside. I'm using them as candle holders, and I think that they are really pretty. For this project, I am using some of these wood boards from Dollar Tree as well as some of these buckets, which I absolutely love these buckets. So just ignore the fact that some of my boards are already painted. I started painting and realized I just needed to put the project together and then paint afterwards. So I have 4 boards. I took the 4th one and cut it in half. These are 18 inches long altogether, so each of these halves are 9 inches in length. After that, I'm going to take one of the longer boards and flank them with the 9 inches. And I am just using a nail gun in order to nail these. You can screw them in. I'm going to get into a little bit more about what you need to do in a moment because this is MDF, and MDF is a little bit of a pain to work with. I'm just going to be really honest with you. So just make sure that you are anchoring them in nice and tight. Once I had my bottom base done, I was measuring exactly where I wanted my 2 other pieces to go, and I measured, just using that middle piece, 3.5 inches in, and that's where I wanted those to go. Now, We started off trying to just use the nail gun again. I thought that would be quick and easy. Well, it split the wood, and so we thought, well, that's not gonna work. Let's use a drill. Well, even using a drill can kind of split the wood. MDF is just sometimes a challenge to work with. It's just not as pretty or as easy as working with like real wood. And honestly, you're gonna be able to get real wood for about the same price or even sometimes less at like your local hardware store as you would this. And it's gonna be easier to find. A lot of times these pieces are hard to find at Dollar Tree and can be frustrating. I finally was able, with the help of my husband, able to get this project together. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I shared that I was trying to do this and it was so frustrating. So you see that he is helping me. Let me share a little bit of that with you. Actually slowed down a little bit, and I am trying to do a project with these. I was super excited. The idea is really cute, but this is not real wood. It is MDF, and this project is going to be the death of me. So my really sweet husband is trying to help me out so that I don't get more gray hair and pull out all my hair in the process, because I am so frustrated. I love you, seriously the best, because I'm about to chunk this thing. So now that you've seen my frustration, he did drill the pilot holes in the base, which we showed you, and in order to mark where the pilot holes go in the boards that will be going up, all he did was to press the wood into the screws, and the screw points, or the little where they poke, actually just kind of poke the wood, and that marked exactly where you needed to drill the pilot hole into that. And then you can just use your regular screwdriver and screw in your screws very carefully in order to not split your wood. Again, I would strongly suggest just using some real wood, because even this you never want to get wet because it's MDF. Honestly, I'm actually considering redoing this entire project with real wood because I love it that much. I really do love it. I just don't love the MDF. Before I painted everything, I wanted to go ahead and get the screws in there to hang the buckets. So I measured 1.5 inches down from the top for the first set of screws, and then right in the middle at that 9-inch mark for that second set of screws. These are shorter screws, so a little less of a problem than those other screws. I also decided to go ahead and take a thinner piece of wood that I had lying around to cap off the top. I thought that that was a nice finishing touch. Of course, that is an optional thing. I just like the way that it looked, and I just used wood glue this time in order to add that on. Once the wood glue had dried, I went in with some Waverly chalk paint in white. I painted everything. I gave it a good 2 coats, and then when that was all dried, I went ahead and I could place my buckets on here. This would be great indoors, like for different reasons, but I think it would be really cute like in a child's toy room. But I'm using it outdoors, covered, where it will not get wet, for some like chalk and bubbles and things like that. Easy access for my kids to use for their like outdoors things that they like to have. I would love to know, what do you think you would put in the buckets if you were to do something like this? Need some more outdoor inspiration? Here are a couple other videos for you to check out. Also, don't forget about the playlist in the description box. I know you will be blown away by what these other girls have created for you today. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Until the next video, see you then.